what's up everyone? Today, as you guys can see, I'm going to use this marker. We're doing formal commands, and another way of looking at that is usted and ustedes commands. And so really that's third person singular and plural, right? And so with usted being singular and ustedes being plural, right? And so we're looking at how to make commands with third person singular and third person plural. And so that's what we call formal commands because, well, you're speaking formally, particularly in the case with usted, which is the formal version of you, or the formal equivalent of to, right? With to being informal, right? And so anyways, that's what we're going to look at that today. And this is, and so as far as commands are concerned, actually, we have formal commands, we have informal commands, which are the two commands, and then we have nosotros commands, right? And so those are the three sort of types of commands that we have. With this saying you or you all, the two commands, of course, are saying you, and then the nosotros commands are saying let's, right? Like let's eat or let's study or whatever it may be. But for today, we're looking at the formal commands. So we're going to look at usted and ustedes. And really, what I want to do is a couple things. One, I want to show you how to structure them or how to use them. And I'm also going to highlight pronoun placement. And then the last thing I want to do is walk through some examples with you guys and just show you how they're used, right? For example, like in some sentences. And so I'm going to start up here with, and this just means affirmative. Affirmative, and this, of course, means negative, right? And when I say that, when I say affirmative, that's telling someone to do something, as opposed to a negative saying do not do it, right? Don't do it, for example. And so that's what these are representing. And so just in terms of structure, to make what would be a usted or ustedes command, you would put you would use the third person singular or plural subjunctive of the verb, right? And it's as simple as that, right? And so you would use the third person singular, right, which would be usted, or plural, ustedes, in the subjunctive. And we're going to look at that down here, right? And hopefully it'll make more sense. So whatever command you want to make, you would put it in the subjunctive, right? Whether it's third person singular or third person plural, that would, of course, have a lot to do with who you're talking to or who you're giving the command to. So, and then so negatively, to make a negative command, to say no or don't, right? You would do no, of course, that's what makes it negative. That's what makes the command a negative command. And so you say no, and then third person singular or plural in the subjunctive. And so unless there's pronouns, it's really just third person plural subjunctive, or third person singular plural subjunctive, or no, third person singular plural subjunctive. And so really, now of course, as you all know, and as you can see here, it's not as simple as that because of course pronouns exist in the language. And so I'll show you how to use these commands with pronouns as well. And so, but sort of out of the gates, again, just to reiterate, the affirmative, to make an affirmative command, third person singular or plural in the subjunctive, right? And then to make it a negative command, it would be no, and then third person singular or plural in the subjunctive. And so before we get into the examples, though, I want to come over here and have a look at how to use them with pronouns, because I have this first section, we'll say without pronouns, and then this is with pronouns. I don't know if you can read that, but that says without pronouns, and that's with pronouns. So we're going to practice both, right? And we're going to do all of them both affirmatively and negatively. So we'll get a good sort of dose of how to use this, right? And so, but in terms of the pronouns, using pronouns with commands, and again, I'm using the same sort of plus sign. So in an affirmative command, if a pronoun is being used, you attach it to the command, right? Now, let me bring your attention over here, because remember, since we've looked at pronouns, we've looked at indirect, direct, and reflexive pronouns, or indirect object, direct object, and reflexive pronouns, right? So we've looked at those, and so now there's really, and I've said it before, but there's 4 places all pronouns can go we're concerned with this place today, whereas in the past we've been concerned with these because we weren't working with commands. But I'm gonna write them all down just so we have them all up here. So before a conjugated verb, right, attached to the gerund, right? I'm not sure if you can read this that well, but attached to an infinitive, right? And then the fourth one, which is the one we're most relevant today, I guess you might say, is attached to, I'm going to draw that, command, right? Let's highlight that a little better. So attached to an affirmative command. Notice that I keep saying attached to an affirmative command, right? And I'll just so we're clear, right? And so I'm saying attached to an affirmative command. I'm not saying attached to a negative command. So that's going to be important when we get over here, right? And so again, all pronoun placement now that we have all four we're at command, so we can talk about this one. But before a conjugated verb, attached to the gerund, which is your ing, your ando, or your iendo, which we've talked about already. Attached to the infinitive, which is an unconjugated verb. And then, of course, our number 4 for today, attached to an affirmative command, right? And so, I'm going to bring you back up here. And so, for pronouns with commands, again, you attach it, in the affirmative, you attach it to the command itself. In other words, it goes on the back side of it, attached to the word. And we'll talk about that when we look at these examples. And so, of course, you might be thinking, well, if I'm adding something to the word, do I got to put an accent on it? Well, the answer is yes. And so this is, in terms of accents, this is a rule of thumb. Now, there are cases where this doesn't work, but this is a great starting point and a pretty good rule of thumb that works a large part of the time. So this hopefully will be helpful as you all learn how to work with accents in commands. And so this is just a great rule of thumb, a good starting point. So if you're attaching a single pronoun, right, like just a single pronoun, whether it's a reflexive pronoun, an indirect object, or direct object pronoun, right, if you're attaching just one of them, you would count 3 vowels back, right, and then you put your accent. And again, when we get here, that's going to make a lot more sense. So if it's a double object pronoun, that means 2 pronouns are being used. And we'll look at it when we get here. Then you're going to count 4 vowels back. Really, at the end of the day, it's going to be on the same vowel, but because you're adding an extra pronoun, that means you're adding an extra vowel on the back end. So we got to make up for that in terms of the accent. And so that's how that works. Again, so if you're attaching it, you do have to add an accent. And so again, just to sort of summarize that again, if it's a single object or a single object pronoun, one pronoun, you count back 3 vowels. If it's a double object pronoun, you count back 4 vowels. So again, hopefully that'll be helpful for you guys. If it's a negative command, I'm right here now. If it's a negative command, the pronoun goes in between no and the command. And again, we'll check that out right here, sort of in our examples. And so hopefully that makes sense. So with the affirmative command, you attach the pronoun. With the negative command, you put it between no and the command. And so let's take a look at these examples, and hopefully this will make things a lot clearer. And so here we go. Like I said, the first part, these first 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, are going to be without pronouns. It's just sort of straight up, let's put it in command form, and we're good, right? And so we have here, again, I've highlighted Ustedes, Usted, just to mix it up a little bit. And so we have here, salir con nosotros más tarde. So that's saying, for example, you all go out with us later tonight, right? For example, this is where the command would be. And so instead of writing all that out, I'm just going to focus on the verb itself, right? And so salir, we want to put salir in a command form for ustedes. That means we're dealing with third person, right here, we're dealing with third person plural, right? That's what we would be dealing with. And so third person plural for salir in the subjunctive would be salgan, right? And so if you wanted to use the whole sentence, it would be salgan con nosotros más tarde. So that would be saying like, hey, you all come out with us later on, right? And so salgan con nosotros más tarde, right? Now, if we want to make it negative, we would do no, right? And then the command, just like I was saying right here. So you would say, no salgan con nosotros más tarde, which is saying, don't come out with us later on, right? And so again, just kind of respecting time, I'm not writing the whole sentence out. But again, you would say, salgan con nosotros más tarde, right? Negative would just place no before that command. You would say, no salgan con nosotros más tarde. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's check out this next one here. I'll write the full one out because it's not as long. So we have leer más libros. So we want to basically say, and we have usted. So we want to say, you, formal, read more books. And so in the affirmative, we'd say lea, right? Because remember, leo, yo leo, drop the O, add the opposite ending. That's the subjunctive, right? So we'd say lea más libros, right? And then, of course, negative, we would just say no lea más libros, right? So again, it's sort of that simple when there's no pronouns, right? It's affirmative command, subjunctive, third person, negative command, no subjunctive, third person, right? And so this is an example of third person plural. This is an example of third person singular. And so let's use another example of third person plural. So we have here, tomar más agua. So, and we say, Ustedes. So you all drink more water, right? That's what I'd be saying. So we would, for the affirmative, we'd say, tomen más agua, right? So you all drink, tomen más agua. Negative, of course, as you already know, no tomen más agua, right? So now we're just saying no tomen versus tomen, right? So one is affirmative, the other is negative, and no is playing a major role in making that negative. So, and then the last one on the non-pronoun bunch is usted and then comprar el carro. So we want to say, you, formal, usted, buy the car, right? And so affirmative would be compre el carro, right? Compre because yo compro, we drop the O, we add the opposite endings, and then we have, of course, it's usted, so it's third person, singular. So we'd say compre el carro. Negative, as you guys know, we would just do no compre el carro, right? That's it. So that does it for the non-pronoun bunch. And so I want to kick it up a notch and show you how to use these commands with pronouns, right? And I think I'm going to use red. Yep, we got one. So this is ustedes, and then we have pasarme la pelota. So we want to say, you all pass me the ball, right? So we're going to turn this into a command. So we would affirmatively say, pásenme la pelota, right? Now look what we've done. We took this and we made it pasen, right? Because it's ustedes in the subjunctive, and then we attach, like you have here, we attach a pronoun to the end, right? So we attach it to the command. And so we have pásenme. And so again, like we have here, we've got to talk about accent. So it's a single object pronoun that is just me on there, right? So we would count 1, 2, 3, and then we would put our accent right there. Pásenme la pelota. So now let's take a look at it in negative, right? And so if we want to make it a negative one, again, we do no, just as it says right here. We do me, because the pronoun's got to go between no and the command. And then we say, no me pasen la pelota, right? So, no me pasen la pelota. So that's how that works, right? When we want to use make a negative command with a pronoun, right? As opposed to a positive command with a pronoun. So, so this is, well, let's have an accent there. So, this is, of course, way out of context, but I wanted to show you all how to use a double object pronoun with a command, right? Again, this is just mandárselos. We don't know to whom anything's being sent. We don't know what's being sent, but again, it's just out of context, and it's just a infinitive sitting here with a double object pronoun. But I wanted you to see how it can work as a command. So basically what we want to say is with usted, you send it to him or whatever, right? Again, totally out of context. We don't know what this actually is in real life, but as far as a double object pronoun, I'm going to show you how it works. So we're concerned, obviously, with this because we want to say send, and we want to do it usted subjunctive. So we do mande, right, for the affirmative. So mande, and then this gets attached, as you guys know. So mandeselos, right? Again, we're attaching it. And so notice this is sort of the structure, if you will. Put a little bow on that, where it's indirect object pronoun and then direct object pronoun. That's just how. So indirect object pronoun, direct object pronoun. That's just the way they sit positioned together as double object pronouns. So so again, we'd say mandeselos. Again, accent, but notice we have 4 vowels this time because it's a double object pronoun. So we would do 1, 2, 3, 4. And so that's why you hear it, mandeselos, mandeselos. Hear that stress over the A. And then I'm going to write it right here. I'm going to do the negative right here. So we would do no se los mande. Right? Now again, notice this got put between no and the command, and it still stays as indirect object pronoun, direct object pronoun. It just becomes 2 separate words, right? And so, no se los mande. We have here, escribirle una carta. So, write him or her, again, because it's not gender specific, we don't know. It's just, again, out of context, but we know someone's getting a letter. So, and we want to say, you all write him or her, or whatever, a letter. And so, again, I'm focused more today on how to make these commands with pronouns, much less like sort of breaking down what lay is actually meaning in the sentence. So, but again, it's an indirect object pronoun for anybody who's wondering. And so, escribirle una carta. So the affirmative would be escribanle una carta, right? Escribanle una carta. I'm going to switch back to black. So, escribanle una carta. Now, we're adding a single object pronoun, so we just count back 3. So we go, 1, 2, 3. Escribanle una carta. Now, negative, of course, as you know, right? We're going to go, no le escriban, if I can spell that right. No le escriban, because, of course, no pronoun command. That's how it goes, right? And so we have here hacerle el café, right? I'm going to come up here and do this one. And so the affirmative for this one right here, would be háganle el café, right? And so now we're making coffee for somebody, right? So you're saying, or I'm sorry, it's usted. So let's get rid of that in there. So hágale, right? Make sure we do that right. So we want to say hágale el café, right? Again, we have, in this case, an indirect object pronoun attached to the command. And so we go 1, 2, 3. Hágale el café. And so here's our last one. We're going to do the negative for this last example. And so again, we would do no pronoun command. So we would just do no le haga el café. And so what you're effectively saying here is don't make whoever this coffee's for, don't make him or her the coffee, right? So that's how that negative command is working on that. And so, yeah, so this is formal commands, right? And again, formal commands are usted and ustedes, as you can see up there. And then really you to make it an affirmative command, just to sort of reiterate. Third person singular or plural in the subjunctive. The negative, of course. Negative command tells someone not to do something or a group of people. No, third person singular or plural in the subjunctive. And then here's our pronoun rules. And again, here's some examples. So hopefully they were helpful for you guys.